Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here on this rainy day.
Thank you so much for being here. And I guess it's not early, but it feels early to me. I don't know if you've been in this theater before. We've talked your career before, but it had to be over Zoom because it was during the pandemic.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, I've never been here, so it's really great.
Well, welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels very special, very special.
And as you know, this is an audience of your fellow actors. Mm-hmm. So I always sort of like to start by going back to the beginning. When did you first fall in love with acting? Was there like a movie or a show that had a big influence on you?
The earliest memory really is kindergarten, and I remember being on the floor. I think I'm not sure I was bullied. I think I probably made that part up. It was part of the narrative, the story. And I was lying on the ground and like waiting for Mr. Miyagi to show up and like fight the bullies. And I mean, it's such a visceral memory of it. Of course, he didn't show up. So I had my dad every Friday. He'd come home with like a little brown case with a Beta, we were with a Betamax cassette from the local video store, and he would never tell us what it was. And he'd put it in the machine. And we would watch it, and it was like Never-Ending Story and Karate Kid, and it was that kind of began like the mystery and the excitement around that, and I would immediately like co-opt whatever story and pretend that was what was happening in my life in some way.
I mean, Never-Ending Story, by the way, very traumatizing movie for a lot of kids. Oh no,
it's a lot of people like my age. Like that's where my trauma began.
Yeah, you see a horse going through a swamp.
Vortex.
Oh, right in the gut. Yep. People of a certain age get that one. I remember we talked about, you making these home movies when you were a kid. And then I kept asking if you'd put them on YouTube. And then you showed them on Saturday Night Live.
Did show a little bit of one.
Yes. How did you sort of choose? I mean, how much was there to choose of?
Well, again, it's my dad was such a, he was a frustrated artist, but in some ways not frustrated. He's a doctor, but he always loved movies as well, and he made movies with his brothers when he was much younger on Super 8, and so he kind of kept that love, and so he got a video camera. This was like late 80s, early 90s, so it was like a very special thing, and at first, he would make movies with us, and that's, I think, the one that I showed. This movie where It Lives, of a creature. I remember showing it to Guillermo when we started Frankenstein. I was like, I've done monster work before. and then I would just, when he wasn't around, I would take it and start doing stop motion with my action figures. Really? And then that, went towards like terrorizing my brother with it, and making movies with my cousin and my friends. And I kind of took over that thing. And that's where it really just blossomed from there.
Older brother or younger brother?
Younger.
So you were the bully, it sounds like.
Yeah.
You remember this story back. This is like the Karate Kid, Cobra Kai.
Right.
Yeah. Turns out Johnny was the good guy all along. Speaking of Saturday Night Live, I know I've told you this before, and I mean it as a compliment, but you're such a good actor that when you hosted, there were some bits that almost weren't funny because you were so believable.
Thank you.
No, like I really believed you as like this councilman of Paw Patrol, because you were making such specific choices and commitment.
Well, my kids were really into Paw Patrol at the time, so I just really connected emotionally to that world. I was able to buy into it. It's funny, like there was a friend had said, who's a really brilliant actor, had said to me, he's like, sometimes I don't know how you do it. Sometimes it's like, it was kind of a backhanded compliment, like you just gave me, which was like,
get used to it.
Which was like, it's like sometimes it's like, you're in something and it. Hey, the thing is not working so much, or everybody else in a kind of different movie, and you're like, but you can kind of go in and like get in there, and like, how do you do that? And I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm just gullible. I can buy into the fantasy maybe easier. It's like I'm an easy mark that way, and I think it's just like like that same kindergartner. It's just like able to just just go all in on the fantasy, and there's just a lot of freedom in that.
Yeah. No, it's just there was such commitment. I remember there's a line where they say something like, who's running this, a child? And you're like, yes. And I was like, I started to think about it, and I was like, that is outrageous. Which kid shouldn't be in control of this? Like, it really made me think when I was done laughing. Yeah. Right. I'm curious, did they write those characters? Because there's a few sketches you do that are like so specific. You're making these like really, really funny choices. Did they write that sort of telling you, this person doesn't blink or this person has a funny accent, or was that all you?
No, I think that's what's so fun there is that like, you sit down to read all of these, it was like maybe 90 different ones, and around the table read, and you start to kind of whittle it down and which ones like really hit and which ones are really fun, which one do I have a take on. So it's in a way, it's like a process of elimination, the ones that just like spark, like a kind of alchemy that happens. And then it's like, oh, I don't know why, but like my instinct is to go into this kind of voice or go into this. And sometimes I'll be like, can you dial back the old man voice a little bit, there? Or try more of this. And it's a really fun kind of sandbox to be in.
On Saturday Night Live, they say too much sometimes.
Yeah, believe it or not, too much.
Actually, how fun is it to do comedy? Because you do bring a lot of humor to your roles, but I think you're best known for some really intense parts. Would you love to do a big dumb comedy?
Yeah. I may have done them inadvertently. No, what I like is the tension between the two. I think I remember seeing like my favorite film, Dog Day Afternoon, right? And I think it's one of the funniest films.
So funny.
Charles Durning and Chris Sarandon, and of course Pacino and that, John Cazale. It's so funny, like when he's like, I want to go to Wyoming. It's like that's not a country, and it's just so intimate and sweet, but like, and very fucking funny. So for me, when it's a dramatic part, I always try to find like, what's the humor underneath it, and vice versa. When it's a humorous part, it's like, what's the pain underneath that? And that's what's most exciting to me. One where it's not just being kind of communicated. This is funny. This is sad.
Well, that's life. Like some of the darkest moments, you find like the craziest humor.
Yeah, it's kind of what makes us human. It's like even in the most horrific circumstances, planes going down, someone makes a joke. It's just this it's a beautiful thing that we have. And I think that's just like a spark of a hope that's really beautiful in performance as well.
So you were raised in primarily in Miami or in Florida, and I didn't realize this, but apparently at school you were like a big troublemaker.
Yeah. I think, there was always just like a need to break out and freedom. But I think also there was a feeling of being like, I'm here. I exist, do I exist, and like, can I get validation that I exist? I think there was quite a bit of that. And there was also a lot of mutability because we moved around so much. So I was born in Guatemala and I left when I was 6 months old. We were in Virginia for a few months, then Baltimore, went to kindergarten there. Then we moved to Louisiana, and kind of moved every year, really, up until middle school, I was just constantly moving. And even when we were in one city, moving from schools. And I think that allowed for a sense of, I guess, even like a lack of consequences. I'm like, I'm moving out of this town in a little bit anyway, So yeah, I remember at one point, because I was being such a distraction, the teacher put one of those, like the windshield covers for cars around my desk. Which was like a great puppet theater like thing. You can just kind of go above and like do all sorts of stuff. That was a bad move on the teacher's part. And they ended up moving me all the way back in the corner. And so there was always a bit of a struggle to like shut this kid up.
And did you get expelled from school at some point?
Yeah. I was invited not to return is the way that they were. I cordially accept your invitation not to return.
When was that?
That was, so that was 7th grade. So I was in junior high, and I was going to go into 8th grade, and it was like the end of the year. It was the last day, and me and my friend just kind of went crazy and sprayed a fire extinguisher in the empty gym. There was nobody in there, but we just wanted to see what would happen. And among other tomfoolery, like writing stuff on the steps and defacing a mural. And it was like a very intense Christian school. And that sucked, and so we just kind of raged against that machine that one day, and then were invited not to return and had to, pay some money, my dear parents. And then I was going to go to this school that was basically like the Footloose school. Like they didn't allow dancing. There was no music. And, it was like hardcore. And then Hurricane Andrew came and blew the fucking school down.
That is a sign.
Also my house as well, like everything got blown down, but it was like, and then we left town and went up to Delray Beach. My mom took me and my mom and my little brother and my dog. And she put us in this one like Christian school again. It was like one day and my sister and I came back. We're like, we're not going back there.
Really?
Sorry, Mom, we're not going back there. And so she put me in this like public school called Carver Middle School, which was kind of a rough school, and I fucking loved it.
Really?
It was to this day, it's still like the best year of my life.
Really?
It was just like, it was so diverse and so fun, and I would like. And weirdly enough, there wasn't like a lot of the, acting and all that kind of stuff wasn't in it, but it just was like a intersection of people and life and it felt like freedom again.
Yeah.
And so that was like a really beautiful formative year. And then went to, for the 4 years of high school to a public school called Santa Lucius, which sounds religious, but that's like an Indian name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that where you started doing theater, or was it even before that?
It was before that. It was actually fifth grade when I first did theater.
What was your first performance?
It was, it was a great teacher. Her name's Mrs. Stuckey. I remember her. And she was so loving. And at the time, my parents were divorcing. And so it was just like a nightmare at home. And it was like a very nuclear divorce. And the assignment was to write a paragraph as one of the creatures on Noah's Ark, one of the animals on Noah's Ark.
What?
And I went home and I wrote like an 8-page musical and then I brought it to her. She's like, we're going to do this. We're going to put this on and you should play the platypus. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And so we put the play on and there was like 4 songs in it. There was like a rapping alligator.
Oh man.
The rain's coming down like a great, great fountain. It's going to cover everything, even the mountains. So you better be smart. You better stay cool. If not, you're going to end up a wet something fool or something. Yeah, it was like,
That's good.
Yeah. And
I wanted to beatbox while you were
I know
doing
you
that.
should have. Yeah, and then and so we like got the costumes together. There was supposed to be like a girl platypus, but she didn't find a costume, so she ended up being a cat. I don't know. And
that's why platypuses didn't continue.
Exactly. That's why there's so few platypuses. Platypi. But it was just like, it was an incredible moment that happened. And then at school, I started doing more plays. Like the next year in 6th grade, we would do these plays that were, they were all religious themed. So
of course.
I was like the devil in one of them, in a boxing match with Jesus. And,
who won?
And then Jesus ended up winning that one.
Of course.
But really the devil won because people really like the devil. And I remember hiding under the steps of the bleachers and then I saw where Mrs. Stuckey was. And then now I wasn't in her class anymore because this was the next year, but I was like made it a point to like hide and then go scare her as the devil. Screamed and then came back and that was great. And then the next year played Jesus. Resurrecting Lazarus.
This is wild because I am noticing a theme because you've also played Saint Joseph and then you played Jesus Christ again later, King of Kings. Yeah. Wow, like maybe that early like Christian school was really good for you.
The religious trauma I endured.
Yes.
Yeah. It's definitely a great source of great furnace to draw from.
It's very interesting that you're drawn to that, though. Or
well, I mean, it's like that's it's like we're born into these. That's our inheritance. That's the original sin, I guess. Like you're born into these circumstances. I mean, and what you do with them. It's like, why is this happening to me? It's like, why am I happening to this? Right? What is this? Is the raw materials that I'm given, and so it's like why. Why I'm drawn to certain things, why I'm not, why I try to run away from certain things, why I'm not. It's all this stuff that as like a little kid, it's so weird.
Yeah.
It's like, and then performing these things and trying to embody these things, and but again, it was what was available. That was the framework in which to escape, I think, at the time, And I remember like going to my dad's first like sad dad divorced house, like that little apartment with like, there's that whole section in Home Depot where my sister and I'd be like, this is the sad divorced dad section where you have like the mini fridges and the, and being there. And I was like fervently, because these plays, they were ones where we would just mouth all the words, because it was like, I forget the singer. He would do these like story songs about like Bible things. And so it would just be like mouthing the words up on stage. And I was like, I'm going to nail this one. And so I would just like be in that little apartment, just like writing listening and stopping it and writing all the words and listening and stopping it and trying to get all the words right. And it was just like a thing to focus on, that I was like, I can do this. And that kind of never went away.
Oh, wow. We've actually discussed this before, because I am not overly familiar with the Bible, which is weird because my dad was a minister, but maybe that's why. But I never realized the stories in the Bible are bangers. Like, there's a lot of really good stories in there.
Stuff holds up, right?
Yeah, it does. There's a reason they keep telling. Like, Noah's Ark is actually kind of a messed up story.
It's a really weird, messed up story. Just God just drowns everybody, except for these few people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then says, "I won't do that again." Wink, wink.
Yeah. Wink.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You were also at a young age pursuing a career as a singer, and you had a band that was like pretty successful. Like, I heard you opened for Green Day.
Yeah, I mean,
there was an actual gasp.
It was at the same festival, like we opened for Stone Temple Pilots too, we played at the same festival, so maybe like 6 hours apart on a like separate stage far away, but we opened for them.
It counts. It absolutely counts.
Yeah. So it counts, but it wasn't. It never occurred to me like it was a career. It just was. Like, it just was what I was doing. And it was, again, my father, musician as well, and had all this recording equipment at home and had guitars. And so I would just grab them when he wasn't around and start playing them, or start, recording music. And that was, and that became like a real love.
Were you completely self-taught? Because obviously you've sang in things. Everyone's thinking of Llewyn Davis, and I'm thinking of Sucker Punch. I'm obsessed with that song for some strange reason. But did you ever have any kind of formal training in singing?
No. Well, I mean, once I got to Juilliard,
yeah,
there was like a lot of vocal training there.
Oh, there was?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was amazing, like getting to school and like really finding the tools. So this idea that like there's people that can sing and people that can't sing and people that can dance and people that can't dance. It's just not really true. I mean, obviously there's people that, because of their circumstances get more access to it or get more confident early, but it's just, it's available, it's like if you've got a body and you have vocal cords, like there's ways of figuring it out and learning.
There are those who have heard me karaoke who would disagree with you strongly on that one. I always had the non-singing role in all the musicals. The woman who ran the carousel, the chicken, Once Upon a Mattress who only knew one word of English. Yeah, my time to shine. Even before you went to school, though, you were working in film and TV and theater. You began in Miami Beach at the Area Stage Company. You got cast in some roles. How did that happen? I heard it was kind of like a kismet meeting with the artistic director. Yeah,
I moved down to Miami, and I went to the Coconut Grove Playhouse, and really my first gig before Area Stage was going, and I got hired to do like the children's tour, and so we would go around to all the schools. But it was like high schools and middle schools, and like do a play about domestic violence, right? Then it was also like, it was very weird. It was kind of like half stomp as well,
Oh yeah.
But it was like not really stomping. We just like slap on things,
That's what
like,
they do.
Bah, bah, move things around and stuff. And I was like the girlfriend abuser with like a deaf brother and like sign language, and it was very complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. The kids were like, "What?" is this? What's happening?
See, I was in a similar group,
Yeah.
weirdly called the Seuss Troupe, which used the stories of Dr. Seuss to teach lessons to kids.
About domestic violence?
Well, that was the thing. It was like we covered everything.
Yeah.
Like, was it just domestic violence, or did you?
We were strictly domestic violence. Yeah. But that was the first one, just like going to all these different high schools. It was really intense. And then I went to I was on South Beach, and a friend that was in that thing with me, the girl that I was abusing in the play, she took me to see Oleana at Area Stage, which was this little black box theater on South Beach. And I went in there, and it was the first straight play I'd ever seen. And it just blew my fucking mind. I was just like, what is this? This is incredible. And I waited afterwards to like meet the actors and to talk to the director, who was also the artistic director. And he, to this day, he still says, like, to you, man, to like wait there and be like, hello, sir, I'm Oscar. I want to work with you one day, And then he brought me back and auditioned me for a play, like playing this like Cuban hustler, a jinetero, like a prostitute. And those Daisy Dukes came back.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'll bring my own costume. Thank you very much. And like that kind of began this thing. And like within like 2 years, I'd done like 7 plays. I'd done like plays there. And then there was another place called Gable Stage where I did This Is Our Youth. It was
Wow.
And Sideman and a bunch of plays around there. And then ended up going to New York, where I'd flown myself to audition for this play for a director that I met in Miami to play Fidel Castro in Daisy Dukes as well. No.
Yes, exactly.
Although that probably would have been good. And so that brought me up to New York, where then I like passed by Juilliard, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
Juilliard, yeah. And I had remembered that because when we were doing the traveling domestic violence play, which was called Breaking the Cycle. I just remembered, it was.
I need to know, how did people respond to this? Because like,
they would cheer when I would hit her. Yeah, I mean, it was like, and we're like, we gotta figure something out here, guys, because it's like the message is not getting through. We're like, it was, high school.
Yes.
It's like brutal, Yes. So we had to like figure out like how to get the audience back and be like.
Even then, you were too sympathetic as that guy, apparently.
Yeah, I guess so. But what was I saying?
Juilliard.
Yeah, Juilliard. I remember the stage manager, we had to go around and say like what we had done before, and the stage manager was like, I went to Juilliard, as if any of us would be going to Juilliard. And I remember that stuck in my head. I was like, man, bitch, I could maybe go to Juilliard one day. I was like, come on, And
just to prove that guy, you went to Juilliard out of spite.
Yeah, and so I had no intention of going to Juilliard, but like I passed by. I was like, oh, this is Lancaster, this is in. And so I went in and I asked for an application.
Wow, but you were late, weren't you?
That's right. That's right. It was a Monday, and the application deadline was on was the Friday that had just passed. And so I just schmoozed the lady. And I was like, come on, I'll fill it out and I'll leave it right back to you. She's like, all right, well, if you fill it out and you bring it back, then we'll see.
Wow.
And so like I went back and I filled everything out and brought it back to her.
Did you say there's a stage manager in Florida? I have to make a point.
Yeah.
Gotta
Very important.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because I think you had already done like All About the Benjamins at that point.
Yeah. I had done that already. That was the first speaking role I had. That was what got my SAG card. All About the Benjamins. Yeah, it was 2000.
Was there any hesitation going to Juilliard when you had, already done film and your stage career was going well? Because you came to it a little later.
Yeah, I was 22. I was 22 when I went in. Yeah. There wasn't. I think there was at some point along the way after Oleana, and then I saw there was all these other plays that I started really getting into, and I fell in love with Pinter. And then Shakespeare and my sister was always such a huge Shakespeare fan, so we would watch those movies all the time. So that was just always in there, and a love of language. My father also had like a real love of language, like etymology and where words come from, and so that translated to like a want to understand dramatic literature. And then I thought, well, what are the actors that I love so much? And they're all ones that have incredible technique. And, like Raul Julia and Tim Curry was like one that was like an early.
We've discussed our mutual crushes on that.
Yeah. Who I just read his memoirs, The Vagabond.
I've been dying to read that.
It's fucking great. Oh. And so I thought, I'd love to. I want to. If I can get into this, it means because I'm not going to try to get into a bunch of schools, but this one, if I can get in, I'd go there. I'd like roll the dice on that.
Sidebar, because I was talking about how much I loved Tim Curry and I had like such a crush on him growing up, but I had never seen Legend. And you tasked me with seeing Legend 3 or 4 years ago, and I finally saw it, and it completely reawoke my hyperfixation for a few months. Yes.
Come on.
Yeah. My friends were
those
furious
hooves.
with you. Yes. The lip curl.
The black lip curl with the teeth and those horns.
Yeah.
So hot.
People were very tired of hearing about it for a while.
Yeah.
So thank you. But no, you were right. We hear so many stories, both positive and kind of less positive about people's experiences at Juilliard. But you said you were able to sort of pick and choose what you needed from the training. Was there a specific style or method that you applied?
No, I loved it. I loved being there. I loved how harsh it was sometimes too. I loved how mean it could be sometimes because I just was able to take it with a grain of salt. I think the fact that I was a little older, the fact that I had experienced what I experienced, I could kind of laugh at, inside at some of the bullying techniques of like, we're going to tear you down and build you up into the actor we want you to be. Yeah. Whereas other people could be like, feel really threatened by this, like them trying to take away your identity. I mean, just like the basic idea that what they teach you is American standard speech, so that whatever you're talking is substandard. There's even that idea, especially for like someone that's a minority, you're like, okay, fuck you, But it's like, but that gives me a base to figure out how to do accents. It's like, oh, there's like a, let's say this is neutral. I know how to transcribe something to like make the sounds. Right. So it's like able to like sift through that shit and figure out what the tool is. And I had a great teacher. I mean, so many great teachers there. But this one, Kate Wilson, who I've worked with quite a few times since, the vocal coach. And we worked on Llewyn Davis together and on Most Violent Year as well. And the last play that I did, she says always was like tools, not rules. They're just tools. You pick up this tool if you need it. You don't have to. It's not a rule, And again, it's this idea of like a lot of the students that would go there would feel like this is the only architecture that works for me to be able to perform, and that's like deadly. So that was like, again, I was able to find a lot of freedom in there. I was able to study things that I would never have studied before, falling in love with Chekhov and all these different ways of behaving, and also like friends that I've still become like still stay very close to, It's such a formative time to be in New York at Juilliard, and I got there August of 2001.
Oh, wow.
Which was nuts. Yeah. Because it was like within a few weeks, it's like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like, what is acting? Like, what the fuck does this even mean? Like, how do you even, rehearse something when like the world is just falling apart? Mm-hmm. So that was like a really intense way of figuring out what is this vocation? Like, what is this calling? What does it mean? What does it matter? How does it not just feel like pure narcissism? And often it does, but to kind of be confronted with those things, it was, very formative.
I guess I'm just so impressed, and you said maybe your age had something to do with it, that because a lot of people think they need to do what they're told, especially at Juilliard. I have a friend who went there, and he plays a lot of robots, and he says Juilliard was really good training for that, because they teach you to act and speak a certain way. He's very successful, don't feel bad for him. A lot of robot work out there. But how did you know at that point, how did you have the sense of self to be like, I'm going to pick and choose? I mean, that teacher.
Well, clearly you see a long line of, suspicion of authority from a very young age. So I think that there was just a sense of a defiance a bit, there's a bit of defiance, a bit of like, well, I don't need, this is not going to make or break me whether you guys accept me or think that I'm doing it right or not. Obviously underneath that, there's like tons of hope that you're like, oh, the same teacher that taught Dustin Hoffman, I hope he thinks I'm amazing, you know? And he didn't.
Really?
No. I remember. So, you know, I went there when there was still, they would still do cuts. So like your second year, they would just put a list up of like people that were on probation. And then you'd have like a few months. And then a lot of those people would just get cut from the program. It was brutal. And then the list came up and my name was on the fucking list.
Oh no.
And I was like, there must be a mistake. And I remember going up to do the meeting with everybody, and there was like a big circle. And Michael Kahn, who was the head of the drama division at the time, said, Oscar, you're not on probation, but half of the faculty wanted you to be, and half didn't. And so we wanted to bring you up to talk to you about that. And I was like, who wanted me to be on probation? What's going on? And he's like, cause I was like, I'm working my ass off. What's going on? And it turned out all of the technical teachers did not want me to be on probation. They're like, you're busting your ass. No, you're doing all your little vowel transfers. You're doing all that stuff. You know, the movement stuff. You're going in, and it was the acting teachers that wanted me to be on probation.
Wow.
And I was like, why? And they said, so John Stix, who was this incredible teacher. I mean, he's been around forever. He was ancient at the time, right? So old and little, and people would go up and do a scene, and then like within the first minute, he'd fall asleep.
Oh.
And then about like 8 minutes later, he'd wake up and just say exactly what was wrong with it, and he'd be absolutely right.
Wow.
You know, and like give some direction, and then they would start, and it would be really good, and he'd just fall asleep again. You know, and just he knew it. You know, and he would play with techniques like, you know, like Juilliard, like contraband stuff. Like he's like, you know, like more methody stuff that he had learned in Circle and Square. He's like, you know, no, we don't teach this, but try doing this. And stuff like that. And he had directed As You Like It, and I had played the old man in that, and I was really bad in it. And he's like, well, you were really bad in As You Like It, and I was like, I was, but in fairness, everybody was pretty bad in that play, you know, which we were all. It was like not a good production, you know. And then the other drama teacher said, she's like, you did Glengarry Glen Ross, you did a scene from Glengarry Glen Ross, and then I gave you notes, and you didn't do it, and you brought in a different scene. And I said, well, I just wasn't right for the part.
Wow.
Know? And so she was, so I was just being a smart ass, and they were trying to say, you need to risk more. You know, I think I was in a place of just trying to get it right so much, and like being like, I know what's right, and I know what I want to hit, and I need to hit that. And if I can't hit that, I'm going to move on and try to do the thing that I can do, you know? And I remember, you know, like towards my last year seeing John, and he was like, you know, yeah, you're better. You're much better now. He's like, you used to just always just try to get it right.
Wow. Like it's a science or something.
Yeah. As if there was like always a target to hit, you know? And so I had a lot of energy and I had a lot of drive, but there was still a lot of like constraint and like self-pressure and obligation. And that has been the big thing of trying to let go of, is like how to work with much less obligation. And it's an ongoing thing, but I feel like it's only within the last couple years that I've started to find ways of really allowing that to happen, you know, and like letting go of a lot of things and feeling like I have no obligation to act when they say action. I have no obligation to cry because it says cry. Releasing all of that. And when that happens, it's just amazing, the grace that occurs, you know, because you start serving something else. It's not just yourself. I love
Tools, Not Rules. I want to get that stitched on a pillow. Like that is so good. That's sort of like how what I apply to a religion is also really good for acting. Yeah. Like take what you need. Yeah. And then
leave the rest.
Do your own thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it can be different every time, you know. I mean, look, some people have their way and that's what makes them feel good. I mean, I do talk about acting as basically just humiliation management, you know. It's just like that's what you're watching. You're watching somebody wrestle with their ego through a character, right? And that's the high wire act. And somebody that seems like they completely let that go is amazing. And sometimes you're like, ooh, you know, the ego's winning here. Whoa, what's going to happen? And how that battle takes place. And everybody has their own ways of like managing that humiliation. Some people, need to control all of the parameters, everything that's happening to feel free enough to let go of that humiliation. Other people need to humiliate themselves more, slapping themselves and hitting and screaming or doing whatever they need to do. And so seeing it that way also gives me a lot more compassion for people, whatever they're trying to figure out. Obviously, as long as it's not, dangerous to other people or just sucking up all of the oxygen, because it is a collaborative thing. But it's like, I see that. It's like, yeah, it's fucking hard. You're putting yourself out there, and that is the raw material of what you're working with.
Shame. The worst. Speaking of exercises and humiliation, did you have any epically bad auditions?
So many.
Oh, really?
So many all the time.
Because you worked quite a bit.
Yeah.
Having an acting teacher fall asleep while you're doing a scene probably prepared you for bad casting direction.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I remember something like that's what happened. I was doing a reading of, I forget what Shakespeare play, and I remember seeing F. Murray Abraham walk in while we were doing the reading. I was like, oh my God. And we were just, we kept doing it, and he came and he sat down. And then my part came up. I started doing my monologue part, and I look over and he's asleep. I was like, God damn it. And then I was like, oh God, just keep going. It's fine. Maybe he's just listening, Maybe he's just listening. And then the other person goes for a little bit. And then my second part comes up, and I start to go, and I just see it in the corner, him go, get up and walk out. I was like, oh! Yeah. And then years later, we have that amazing scene in Llewyn Davis where he's like, I don't see a lot of money here. So,
did you tell him?
Yeah, I did. I did. But what's amazing is then he later came back during that reading. This is crazy. And he sat somewhere else for a moment, and we were doing the scene, and then I see him get up again and leave. And then a few minutes later, there's this huge commotion in the back. Like the back, it was, the backstage was there. Everyone stops, and we hear get out of here! You get out of here! And then I look, and the door's swinging open, and Murray's just holding his cheek, and so the brave men on the cast all get up and run over there, and I stay seated, and they go over there, and I'm like, what is happening? What's going on? And they're and then finally I get up and I go over there, and he had seen somebody in the audience also get up at some point and go, and he found him suspicious, and then he went backstage to see, and he had a sense that person had gone backstage. And when F. Murray came, he found him hiding underneath a desk and had jumped up, punched him, stolen a purse and ran out. And F. Murray tried to stop him.
Wow.
And then I found out that this wasn't the first time he had done something like that. He's like the Batman of off-Broadway in theaters. Yeah, there was
Who knew?
Yeah, there was another friend that had been doing a play at that same theater, and a guy just walked up to the stage naked and roller skates or something.
Wait.
And then F. Murray was in the audience, was like, get out of here! Pulled him and got him out of there as well. That's just what he does.
He needs to not be so risky. He's a national treasure.
Well,
we can't have him out there fighting crime.
I mean, we need him. We need him.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
But
so I forgave him for taking a little rest in between fighting crime while I was doing my monologue.
You did start working pretty quickly, it seems, after Juilliard, and you've talked about wanting to avoid typecasting. Is that why you changed your name, or you didn't change it? You just shortened it.
Just circumcised it for a little bit.
It was such a violent.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. I was a young Latino in Miami. Oscar Hernandez is like John Smith down there. My dad's Oscar Hernandez. My grandpa's Oscar Hernandez. And, it's at the time, seriously, I looked in the phone book at the time in the phone book, and there was 12 pages of Oscar Hernandez's. Oscar Hernandez. And I was at an audition. There was another Oscar Hernandez there as well. But it was even less about that. And it was more about I was just being brought in for shitty, just bad role, stereotypical stuff. And so I said, let me see what happens if I just go by Oscar Isaac. And I was like, hey, Dad, I'm thinking about doing this. And he was like a huge Dylan fan.
Oh.
And he's like, oh, yeah, Zimmerman? Yeah, you want to do that? And I was like, that's what I'm thinking. He's like, you should do it. Yeah, go for it. Go for it, Tom Cruise. You know?
Wow.
and so I was like, all right, let's see what happens. And then definitely started getting brought in for more stuff.
Wow.
And at one point I remember there was a Barry Sonnenfeld movie that I wanted to go in for, and they wouldn't see me. And it's like, because he just wanted to see authentic Cubans. And I'm like, I'm Oscar Isaac in this. Please, let me see it. You know, like totally backfired. Yeah. But yeah, you know, it's like, I'm very upfront with that is, you know, what my actual name is. And I'm obviously very proud of that heritage, you know. And you know, sometimes I'm like, do I go back? You know, it's like, it's just gonna seem so egotistical. This is fine. That's fine. That's right. I'll just yell it to everybody, you know.
Well, I mean, it must have worked because you got cast as Saint Joseph right out of Juilliard in the Nativity Story, which was a big movie. Catherine Hardwicke coming off Twilight directing. This may sound like I'm being silly, but I'm serious. How do you prepare to play someone like that? I mean, especially going to the schools you went to, you probably have such a reverence for Joseph and Mary.
I have no reverence for Joseph and Mary.
Good.
Because of the schools that I went to.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah.
I mean, I defaced a mural and sprayed a fire extinguisher.
Was it a religious mural?
No.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit religious. I mean, that was, the irony is that, like, around 15, 16, I just had like a violent reject, kind of like Dracula, like Gary Oldman in Dracula, like that kind of, just like stabbing crosses and blood going everywhere. No, I just was like, I'm letting that, I was leaving that behind. Mm-hmm. And so, the irony that then this thing comes around.
Wow.
And that's like one of the first roles was, it was funny. But it's still in there. It's all ingrained in there. It's like, it's stamped in there. The archetypal nature, like the emotional connection to these things. So yeah, I mean, that was really wild. That was wild to have the premiere at the Vatican.
That's crazy.
With like 1,000 priests and nuns. Mm-hmm. And like the nuns went hard.
They mobbed you.
They mobbed me with like posters, They fangirled hard. I mean, they don't get a chance to like fangirl after, and to like have like San Giuseppe, oh, mamma mia, mamma mia. That was just so weird. It was so weird.
I wonder how many nuns quit the order after that movie.
I don't know, man.
No, I remember the specific, because I actually caught some flack on the internet because I said to your face that when I saw the Nativity Story, I was like, oh, Joseph's hot. And people were like, she called him hot Joseph to his face. But like the story was, sexy and sweet and kind.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about them. Yeah, the two of them and how they maneuver. And Catherine Hardwicke said she's very interested in that, that like kind of teenage coming of age thing and kind of setting it in this world around this story. Yeah.
And again, those stories are bangers. Yeah. I had no idea. The Bible. That's why we keep going back to it.
Nothing but hits.
I don't know. The Job story is a big turnoff.
That's my favorite story.
Are you kidding?
It's the most ancient story in the whole Bible.
It terrifies me.
It's fantastic.
No, See, I'm very superstitious, and so I often, and of course, like I'll stub my toe and be like, "Why, God?" So like,
and he's like, "I'll tell you why. Dinosaurs."
Exactly.
You're like, "What? Okay."
I know there's something rude I said in the 8th grade that I'm still paying for.
But that's not what Job's about.
Okay.
He didn't do anything wrong. That's the point.
No, that's the problem. He did everything right.
Yeah.
So what's the point of doing everything right?
Exactly. There's no fucking point.
There you go.
That's the thing. No matter what you do, it's not in your control. It's like your will is not. It's not about your will.
Let's go deface a mural right now.
Fuck yeah.
Trying to think if there was one. There might be one of Meryl Streep out there. We can. I know. See, I would never disrespect.
No. Sacrilegious.
I will mess up a Jesus mural, but not Meryl Streep. Thank you.
Not Santa Meryl, please.
No. Not Saint Meryl. Yes.
God.
But you've said before that even after Nativity Story, you didn't book a lot of jobs. Like you actually...
I had a 2-year
Really?
lull after that. Yeah, it was so funny. It's like, if all this time, like, if they just give me the shot, if they give me one chance, I will fucking show them. I will show them. Then I got that chance, right? And it's like, and then it was done. And I was like, give me one more chance. I'll show just one more shot. That was a good one, but this one, can I get another shot? And that was, that's the thing. It's like I started realizing, I was like, oh, it's not about the one shot. For me, that's not necessarily going to be my story.
I'm actually curious about that because, every actor I think has these projects that they think are going to be a huge break for them. And there were several, like, I remember, Madonna directed W.E., which is a great story. And I remember hearing amazing things about you. And
Ukrainian security guard.
Yes. Yeah. No, but it was like, I remember people talking about you popping in that movie. And Sucker Punch also, like, actually a great role. And when those things don't work out as planned, like, how do you handle, maybe you're not disappointed. Maybe you knew at this point to just take it in stride.
No, I was disappointed.
Okay.
Of course. It's because I think I was in that mentality of like, I've got, I was still the guy that was like, I exist, please, I'm here. And so that, pouring everything into it, the fact that I did have like craft, like a love of craft was, I think, saving me a lot too, which was just like, it's okay. It's not about the shot. It's like, you have a way of like building things and I love that. And so, fun and learning, like being like, it's all about fun and learning. If I'm not having fun, I'm probably learning, but, if it can be both, that's great. But navigating those two things was really, really difficult. And I think for a long time, it's why it's not unusual for actors to be pretty fucked up people.
Yes.
Because unless you develop a really, really great relationship with your mind, it's a very volatile place to be, and I think in all the like developing of the craft and feeling like I don't have to understand the world. I don't have to understand how to be a good citizen. I don't understand what it is to be a good son or a good boyfriend or a good any of that stuff, but I can do this. And if I can figure out this, if I can like really unlock the truth of a character, then everything will make sense. And then I would do something and I feel like I unlocked it, and then nothing made sense after that, And so it would be like, oh, well, I guess it's the next one. The next one will do it. The next one will do it. And, that kind of thing that was a drive, which was, helpful into like, it's kind of like, I heard someone talk about like, rocket, right? Like with booster rockets, it's like shoots you up. But then after a certain moment, you don't need that booster rocket anymore, and that it falls to earth and something else has to take over to kind of keep shooting you up. And kind of relying still on the same boosters, like was starting to become a maladaptation, where it starts to just be in a way like some sort of dopamine hit or some sort of thing about a validation or some still cry to be heard, like I have a point of view, and then that creates like a lot of friction with your mind, and your mind becomes like not a friendly place to be.
Well, also when you have everyone telling you, "Oh, this is going to be the big one. This is going to, your life is about to change."
I guess maybe another maladaptation, without trying to be too judgmental, or something that was helpful. That then I was like, you know what, it's time to change this, and it happened with Juilliard. It was just like, it doesn't mean anything. It's fine. I got in on a fluke for sure. I'm lucky. There's other people that are way more talented, here than me. And it's true. There was like incredible actors that somehow this thing didn't work out exactly at, when we got out. So many. And the fact that I did is, it's great, but it doesn't really mean, that you're exceptional. It just means that blah, 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 blah. So there was always that voice that I think came from a place of, wanting to have some sense of humility and wanting to have some sense of like, it's not all about you. There's a lot of luck. Don't hang on to this and make it mean everything. And so, even with like a role that I would get, it's okay, it doesn't matter, that this voice that then started taking over a lot more. And suddenly then the battle becomes against this voice and what's not warring with reality, And so I feel like the last few years has also been a lot about like surrendering the war with reality, right? And being able to accept things a bit more, both from a place of, it's just a funny thing. It's like we all know for mental health, terminal exceptionalism is the worst thing, that's what it is. Like, this like unique terminal uniqueness, and it's like, where is safety? Safety is with the herd. We're pack animals, that is why it works. I actually read something recently, like a very old thing about something I had said when I was 22, before I had gotten into Juilliard, 21, which was like, when I'm with the crowd, I feel like I can feel what they're feeling. I can feel what they're thinking. And then, of course, it just goes into, but then me and what I want to do and what I want to say and what I want to, but it was like, oh no, that was it. That was that little glimpse. That's what it is. It's like finding a way to like all breathe together. Like that's an amazing thing. And in a movie, what's incredible about that is that you can like watch somebody that lived 100 years ago and breathe at the same time with them. That's what's astounding. And that's also what's amazing about art in general. You look at a painting, or you look at architecture, and it's like, of course, the aesthetics are incredible, right? The aesthetic vision. But what you're really doing is you're having an experience with the artist. That's what I think I marvel at when I look at a painting. It's like the person that put the brush there, you can feel the person in there. And you feel experience, and that's very different from information, which is also why, in this AI world where it's like all like information and getting all the information and then like making something based off of information. But it's like, yeah, but information is an experience, and what we want to commune with is someone else's experience, whether they lived 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago. That's why it's amazing when you see these plays like Greek plays or Shakespeare or something, because the magic is like the collapsing of time and space. You're like, how, Mary Shelley, you're like, how the fuck is this, it's just like exactly the same. We're exactly in the same place, even, over eons, even though we have completely different life circumstances. That's the magic of it. Yeah. And so it becomes less also about someone like yelling into the void, which, for a long time it is. And there is something that's important about that as an artist. It's like finding your voice. What do you have to say? What's your point of view? Your faith in that, your feeling of like, I have something to contribute. But then that booster rocket goes away and you're like, okay, now you're talking with people. Like, what is that? What's that communion?
Sorry, I'm gonna get a bunch of throw pillows because I need information as an experience. Also on one, I need, what was it? Rules? No. Tools, not rules. Okay. If anyone has an Etsy shop, see me after. It makes me wonder, though, you were learning to manage expectations when something like Star Wars comes along. Did you have any doubt that was going to be successful? Or were you like, maybe you didn't feel that much intimidation because you were supposed to die in the first one? Did you not know that?
Yeah, I was working on Most Violent Year at that time.
Oh, already? Oh, yeah. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So it was Llewyn Davis happened, Inside Llewyn Davis, and then Ex Machina, and then I was doing a Most Violent Year. Thank you. Thanks, guys. And then while I was doing a Most Violent Year, I got the call that JJ wanted me to meet him in Paris. And I knew he was doing Star Wars, so I was like, oh my God, this is for Star Wars. I remember, actually I still have it saved because I got this voicemail that was like, hey, Oscar, it's JJ. I don't need you to come all the way out to Paris. I'm just so famous now that I can just get people to come out and see me whenever I want, but I don't need you to come out. What are you going to do? What are you going to play, a robot? And then it goes, Oscar, it's Albert Brooks. And he had totally had me going for a really long time, and I saved this message because I had told him I was going out to Paris. It's an amazing thing that I have. But I went out there.
Did you laugh at the time? Because
no, at first I was like, just like the blood ran from my face. I was like, what the fuck? And then it was like, Albert Brooks.
So mean.
Yeah, and I went out there to Paris, and I met with JJ, and he said, okay, you're gonna play this pilot. He's this hero pilot. You know, he starts the whole movie, and then we introduce him to the other hero, and then he dies spectacularly. And I was like, oh. I was like, okay. All right, can I read something? And he's like, yeah, okay, meet me, can you meet me later? I was like, okay. And so I met him at this cafe in Paris, and I sat across from him, and on his phone, I read the beginning of Star Wars. You know, it was so strange. And I read it, and I thought, okay, I was like, it's a bummer that I die. And I was like, because you know what? I've done that a lot. I've died spectacularly for the hero in so many movies at this point. I've died by poison, by stabbing, by rocket to the face. I've rocket to the body, right? You know, 2 rocket deaths actually. So, you know, and it's funny because, like, to Kathy Kennedy's credit, when I had said that, she was there. She's like, yeah, you did it for us in the Bourne Legacy movie. I was like, yeah. And I was like, so I was like, you know, I'd love not to do that, but that's where I'm thinking. So let me think about it. And then JJ, like a few weeks later, called me. He's like, okay, so I figured it out. He's not going to die. He's going to continue, but you have to audition.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, okay, how come? He's like, well, because now we don't know what we're going to do with the character. Maybe, I don't know if it's going to be a love interest for the lead. Like, you have to do, like, we got to just see if it works, you know? And I was like, all right, man. And I remember I talked to my friend, and he's like, you know, sometimes you got to fill out the application for the job. You know, if you want the job, you got to fill out the application. So I was like, you're right. I'm going to go fill out the application. So I flew out there, and I read with John Boyega, and like stood next to Daisy, and then like it was like funny because like JJ walked up, was like, I don't know what we're doing, man. I mean, of course you're gonna play this part. You're gonna play this part, you know. And so we did it. Yeah.
Wow. I don't mean to step on anything. I was actually going to ask if you ever did a chemistry read with John, because so much has been made of that chemistry, and you have great chemistry with all your scene partners. I don't know if that's just good acting, or if you have time to get to know them, or sometimes that's where the acting comes in. If you feel you don't have chemistry. Yeah, I mean, it's all about it's temporary intimacy. Another pillow.
That's it is. It's like, oh God,
it's all about temporary intimacy.
An acting fortune cookie. It's so lame. No, it is. It's which is it's not. It can be good, but it's also not so good in life. Mm-hmm. But it is. It's like these groups of people, and we all get together and we do this thing, and everybody's just like really, really close, and then you go, and that's challenging. And so also learning in these last few years how to how you can have more freedom within boundaries as well. I'm curious about that as well. But those days maybe less boundaries. Yes. And so, more like just traditional theater kid, and just would throw in there and find something to fall in love with. Mm-hmm. It's like, I do love people. I love people, and all kinds of people, all different people. And I can, there's a lot of I can find things to fall in love with quite easily. It's like that the fall into the fantasy very quickly. I can just kind of believe. Mm-hmm. And so, but some people are easier to do that with than others. And John was one. I mean, from the very beginning, just really fell in love with him. And we did that. I think the audition scene was the scene in the TIE Fighter. And it just kind of. Did
you have to mimic all the stuff you did? Yeah. You had to do space work.
Yeah, a lot of space work, a lot of
literally space work.
Yeah. No, it was that was hard. During Inside Llewyn Davis, what was amazing was that it was my first lead role. It was the very first one, which was amazing, and from the very first day, I realized they're not going to give me any validation. They just don't do that. They wouldn't say they wouldn't say if it was good. At the audition, they laughed so much. And I remember I told a friend that they're like, that's what they do. That they do. They just laugh at it. They also similarly, like, they're eager to laugh. They want to laugh. They also really they just love performers as well. So it's like, doesn't mean that you got it, but so I was going in expecting, they're reactive.
Yeah.
And then on set, it's like nothing. They would just go, yeah. To mean like, we got it. And then if they didn't like it, he'd be like, yeah. I was like, all right, okay, I got you. Let me try. I'll do another one. But it would be maybe 3-4 takes max.
Wow.
We talked a lot before. I would go, we'd hang out. There was the whole section with music where we did the music. But after a few days of that, of like realizing, I can't go to them for validation. I can't go for them for confidence. It has to come from within, or I just got to let that go. It was so freeing. It was so freeing to be like, we're just making something. We're just building a thing together. I'm just like handing him a wrench and he's handing me a screwdriver, and we're just making it. And we're throwing stuff on the table, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. Like, it doesn't, and that was so freeing. And I was like, I'm liberated. This is how I'm going to be from now on. And then I show up on Star Wars, and it's like the first scene, Kathy Kennedy's coming up herself to like fix my hair and be like, no, I got to change that, And I'm like, oh my God. And it's like everything becomes about like, I just like completely reverted back to like, was that good? I don't know. Is that good? What the pew pew part? Was that like, does that make sense? It's like, did I, because then it would be like, the direction would be like, okay, now you're flying in the X-Wing, and look to the left, and you see your buddy explode, and it's scary, but not too scary. You're still heroic, okay? And then and now you look forward, and you have to make a decision that you are going to shoot the thing, but you're also terrified, but heroically terrified. And it's like, okay, now go, but only look between here and here, and so you're like, and it's just all green screen. And so of course, doing it, and they'd be like, "Well, was that okay? I don't know." To try to find some sense of like confidence in that was just so tough because the target was so small.
That's where acting comes in. We're going to run out of time, so I have to jump ahead to Frankenstein. But before we do, I just want to touch some more on your theater work, because I know I got to see you recently in the Lorraine Hansberry play. You went back on Broadway. It was phenomenal. But there is a story about when you were doing the MTC theater production of Beauty and the Father opposite a young actor making his Broadway debut, Pedro Pascal. He said that you were
not that young. I was younger. Okay.
He said,
I was the youngest one in the cast.
Were you really?
Yeah.
He said you were...
She old.
I didn't say it. But he said that you were terrorizing him because you would try to make him break on stage because you were playing a ghost that no one could see.
Yeah. He was so he was playing the like haughty Moroccan boy. It's a different time back then. Yeah. I was the gay ghost.
You get break out the Daisy Dukes?
Yeah, no, I had a white suit. I was Lorca. I was the ghost of Federico Garcia Lorca, and so nobody could see me on stage. Yeah. And so because nobody could see me, I could do whatever I wanted on stage. So if you'd be like if like he's there, and talking to the actor here, sometimes I would just be like. Just to look. I mean, Lorca's observing, It was so fun.
That's
it was
messed
really,
up.
really fun. I mean, it's these long runs. You got to keep it fresh somehow. And so, we would, but then it would always backfire because then I would start laughing, him laughing. And I just, it was very dumb.
That is diabolical. Like you made him break on stage?
Yeah.
Oh, man. And you have no regrets about it. That's
no regrets. I would do it again.
So we have to get to this year and all this. You know what? All this religion talk has been perfect for your role in Frankenstein. In my opinion, this has to be the most in-depth portrayal we've seen of Victor Frankenstein on the screen. We actually learned so much about his childhood, his relationship with his father. I know that actors love to play mad geniuses because I think they recognize some of themselves, in this craft. At the same time, there are moments where, we don't like your character so much. Was this challenging to play?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
He said when he was making it, he's like, I'm making a banquet. What he offered up for me to be able to do as an actor is just astounding. So I just went full in. I went full into what he wanted, the stylistically what he was interested in, the formality of it, the heightened quality that he wanted, the dialogue and the voice. He talked about this being a terrarium for the creature. So when this creature shows up, this actor covered in prosthetics, you immediately buy him. Not only do you buy him, that becomes this like the most indelible human character in the thing. So everything around that is in concert to make that be the case. And so with this character, I also like you are what you love, and Guillermo, it's like I'm putting everything that I love through this prism of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So he loves telenovelas. He loves Mexican melodrama. He loves these movies from the 40s and 50s. This actor Pedro Infante that he showed me, he was like just this like horror of a father, but hilarious because he's just so evil, But like also I'm like, yeah, that seems, I know guys like that. I know that thing, And so that, watching like Oliver Reed and the Devils and like listening to Oliver Reed's voice and, what a dichotomy and, conflicted human being he was, but also as an actor, like what a force. And so finding all these elements, bringing in this idea of like an iconoclast, rock star energy that he sees himself as, and kind of performing his own memories as well. And then falling in love. And this was more of a surprise, which was like this, he's like the Marquis de Sade as well. He turns into this like nihilistic character who finds so much pleasure in the kind of freedom of cruelty, that in a way is like more perfect. The more innocent the thing is that you are cruel to, the more perfect the act is, which was an actual philosophical idea that the Marquis de Sade was playing with, and that's where true pleasure lies. It's like wrapped up in pain, and so that's what he takes all this pain and it's like this disease takes over him. And he's also always still this child that you see him at the beginning. He never progresses from that. So the only thing that happens is this child just keeps putting on different constructs of ego, constructs and ideas and thoughts. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have like pure awareness with no judgment, as the way that Jacob played it as well, so beautifully. So it's like the way these two things kind of come together. So it was joyful, and I got scared. It was so joyful. I said to Guillermo, I said, we're having so much fun doing this, and it feels like light, and I'm a little bit afraid that I'm doing something wrong because it's like I feel like it should be heavier. I don't know why it's not. And he's like, look, you're playing somebody that has no doubts, and that feels pretty good. It feels good to have no doubts until he crashes. Yeah. And so there's no stumbling blocks. He's just going. He's just running and running and running. And so that had like a liberating quality to it.
I was so worried about like the mental toll it would take on you, but also then just thinking about the physical toll, because that is a demanding role, and you're out there in the ice. You're really like in the Arctic.
That's energizing. I mean, and also Guillermo is like an endless source of energy. He's also like the Mexican Buddha. He's just like, I remember him just floating in the corner, with like those big glasses going like, "Sí, cabrón, sí," like that was the image of him, like with buckets of blood, just like throwing it all over the place. I mean, I have this image of him with buckets of blood just going whoosh, whoosh, and so that like it just energizes you.
Someone asked me, when I first saw Frankenstein, they were like, oh, how is it? And I was like, the first 90 minutes, I was like this. I was just like giddy. Everyone's seen it. It's on Netflix now. When you pick up Christoph Waltz and the whole back of him falls off, I was like,
full body
I messed
horror.
up. That's fine.
I like it.
But is it fun, like on set? I
mean, it's like the creation of the creature.
Yes.
And, like running up that tower and putting it was 3 weeks of rain that we were shooting in, and these little black high-heeled boots, and I'm running up and down all these steps, and it was exhilarating. And he, Guillermo was like, he's also this, Gothic hero. Yeah. He sees himself as, because it's a memory play as well. So he's mutable. Like, he keeps shifting all these different versions. And of course, not likable, but there's no part of him that is asking to be liked, I mean, he desires, he wants, he sees his mother through this person. He doesn't even see Elizabeth. He sees his mom. He sees something to be desired. And in this philosophy that's kind of energizing him, he thinks that is okay, that's right, that is truer. That's true freedom. It's not under the constraints of morality and religion and ethics and all this bullshit that people have put together. There's no God. There's no anything. There is cruelty. That's nature. And so he blinds himself to the destruction that it causes. And yet it's a reckoning of all that stuff, And so you don't see him really take in the story of the creature. You see what happens at the end, but that story that the creature tells is the thing that melts him. It melts away all that stuff. It's, one thing that we talked about too was like the creature is that younger self that has chased him all the way to the ends of the earth to forgive him, but to show himself to him. I found that very moving.
I actually was going to say one of the things I love about this adaptation is the two chapters, the way it changes points of view. And I was curious if obviously you'd probably read the script, but when you saw the movie together and you kind of saw the creature's story, did you feel bad then?
Yeah, I felt bad.
Well, it's good you didn't know that was, but that's what Victor goes through too.
Well, no, I mean, I obviously I knew, I read what happens, and so yeah, I was primed for that. It was the first scene that we shot, Jacob and I. Was the last scene.
Really? Oh, wow, that's fascinating. Why was that?
It's just the way the schedule lined up.
Wow.
But I'm very grateful that it lined up that way, because it's the first time they see each other.
Yeah,
it's really the first time they see each other.
Yeah,
and so. To get to be lying there the first time Jacob walks on in that hulking costume, and to be immediately heartbroken by his loneliness, that was that was great. That was the first thing we did.
I just have to imagine, especially as an actor, you said terrarium. I love that. But everything is done, so realistically, a lot of practical effects, having those costumes, really being in the freezing cold, all of that has to help inform this character.
You have like a Victor Frankenstein thing going on too. Yeah.
It's actually like Jedi mind trick. Yeah. This was very purposeful.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, wait, this is the poster of Frankenstein. This is you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like that? I'm like this. I'm like,
yeah.
You like my monster? You like my monster?
That was not accidental. It was either that or a big red veil. And I just, you know what, by the way, and again, everyone should know this at this point, I only realized like 2 weeks ago that's Mia Goth playing your mother as well.
Yeah. Yeah, how great is that?
Did everyone know that? Oh, okay.
Well, they put this prosthetics on her. Mike Hill, incredible Mike Hill. Just this up here.
That's
changes
wild.
It. And her, of course, what she's doing. She's a flame.
Yeah. Sorry for that side, but I saw a lot of Elizabeths at Halloween, though. That was cool.
Did you?
Yes, some really elaborate ones. I'm so sorry, because I should jump ahead as to what's coming up next, because I just heard you did you produce a documentary, or is it a documentary about you doing Hamlet?
Yes, Elvira Lynn, the great documentary filmmaker.
You have to say that.
And no, she is. I guess I have to say she's my wife, but she is also, fantastic. Amazing documentary filmmaker. And when I was doing Hamlet in 27, she picked up the camera, and little did we know all this life that was going to happen at the same time. So in February, my mother passed away in 2017. In March, Elvira and I married. In April, our son was born. Our first son was born. And in May, I started rehearsals for Hamlet. With like a 4-hour version with 2 intermissions. And
fantastic version.
Yeah. And thank you. And we did that at the Public Theater. And, she just didn't know what else to do other than like try to process it through filming, through some work. And I said to her, I was like, look, you can film, but this might not ever see the light of day. She's like, I know. I just don't know what else to do because this is a lot. And so she filmed it and then she put it away. And about a year and a half ago, she took out those hard drives and started looking at it and piecing some things together. And she'd show me a little bit and I'd say, I don't know, just keep working, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's wild to see. And then she, with her great editor, put it together and made this really beautiful document of that time and of, what it is to deal with life and try to create art and try to have a family. There's this great David White book called The Three Marriages.
Oh, yeah.
And he talks about a marriage to a person, a marriage to the self, and a marriage to a vocation, and how those three things intertwine. There's no such thing as balance. That's kind of a lie. It's like, how do those things just wrap around each other? And I feel like this film is really a document of that.
Well, you're going to release it? Is that the plan?
Yeah, it's called King Hamlet, and it's right now it's playing festivals.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is it? Yeah. I mean, is there any part of you that's hard for? Because it's not like you're super secretive or something, but you do, keep your distance between your characters and your personal life.
Yeah, it's very vulnerable putting that out there, but it's also, it also feels like a band making a record movie too. It's about a time and a place and a group of people creating something together, and I think it is. It's informative, I think, too, for people that you don't often see what that is, what it costs, and so to have someone show that, I think there's some generosity in that.
Going back and watching it, was there anything that like you had even forgotten or anything that surprised you about that whole journey?
Yeah, I mean, well, so much of it was I can't believe it exists. Just even seeing all my family and when I sang to my mom, and my son being that small, all those things together, but also, the spirit behind putting that play up.
Yeah.
The wildness of that. It's all surprising and touching.
Have your kids seen any of your movies, or have they seen you be the councilman of Paw Patrol at least?
They did. They did see that. Yeah, they did see that.
You're kind of the villain in that, though.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, he wants to shut it down. He wants to shut Paw Patrol down. You really loved that, didn't you? I feel like that's gotten way more airtime than anything else I've done in my entire career. That is the pinnacle, isn't it?
No, the pinnacle is get your fat ass on my lap. When A.D. Bryant keeps saying that to you, as you're playing yourself. Yes.
That's right. That is pretty good. Yeah, they've seen some stuff. Yeah.
Not Frankenstein? I know.
You know what? My son, this is kind of funny. My son, I was like, do you want to watch the beginning? You want to watch some of it? And so he came to a premiere. It was the first time the whole family came. Premiere. Yeah, to one here in LA. And then let's see how much you want to see. So we sat down next to each other and he watched the first 10 minutes. He was astounded that the beginning is in Danish. My wife's Danish, and so they speak Danish.
That's right, yeah.
But he was yelling back at the screen in Danish, And I was like, shh. And then we were watching it for a bit, and then he watched the whole beginning, and then right as I was getting on, as the monologue started, he's like, "Okay, can we leave?" And I was like, "You should watch this part. This part's really good." And so he starts watching it, and I was like, "Remember the part because you were there on set?" And he's watching it. He's like, "Yeah, can we leave now?" I was like, "It's boring." I was like, "Okay, all right, come on." But then, I mean, granted, it's fine. He's 8, But then. What's really interesting, how many of you have seen the movie? Okay, so you've seen it. So there's the part that he saw was, when I'm a kid, right? When Victor's a kid and then his little brother shows up. Oh, yeah. And then Victor's pretty upset about that, about him being the favorite. And a couple of days later, my wife wrote to me and she's like, Eugene's having a really hard time. He's just upset. He's angry with his little brother. He said that it was all sunshine and rainbows when before he came, and when he came, it's all been clouds and storms. And it was like a Kaiser Soze moment. I'm like, that's a line from the movie. He's an actor. Oh no. He took the line and made it himself. He was crying, she said, when he said that. And it was like a direct quote from the movie.
Wow.
about being annoyed about having a little brother. You know,
It's amazing.
Yeah, so he did the same thing that I did when I was in kindergarten, which is like take a line and like make it your life. You know.
He didn't stick around for like the first reanimation sequence, did he?
No, but he was on. They came to set and met the puppet.
Oh no!
Yeah, all the puppeteers were there. He's like, "Where are the blue guys?" Because there was 3. Because that whole thing is not CG. That's a puppet. And so there was 3 men in blue tights doing all the different puppeting for it.
It's so weird that is the most disturbing thing to me.
Yeah.
Is like seeing like a partially reanimated corpse come to life.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah.
It's just suffering. And,
But in the moment, it was fun. Like,
yeah. Yeah, it was fun in the moment.
You're also, because you're producing as well, I know you're teaming with Julian Schnabel.
Yes, yeah, we have a film called In the Hand of Dante. It's based on a Nick Tosh's book. It's very cool, really wild, kind of expressionistic piece. You know, Schnabel is such an amazing artist. So, yeah, we shot that. We actually shot that before Frankenstein.
Oh, really?
But it looks like next year is the year for that.
Oh, and we had a question. I don't think you can talk about it, but Beef Season 2?
Beef Season 2?
Yes.
Yeah. Season 2. Thanks. I mean, you mentioned comedy. You know, there's some a lot of gags coming up. A lot of good gags coming up. Yeah,
can you tell us anything about it, or
that it's it's 2 couples. Kaylee Spaney and Charles Melton are a couple, and then Carey Mulligan and myself are the other couple.
Wait,
this is the third thing.
Yeah.
The third time around with Carey, and she's. There's nobody better than her.
Yeah.
There's nobody better than her. She's an astounding actor and artist. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, they say kids parallel play, you know, like, you know, kids, they like play next to each other and they don't actually play with each other, but they're playing next to each other. And then every once in a while, you know, it's like a big learning development when they start to play with each other. Mm-hmm. And that's what it feels like playing with Carey, acting with Carey. It's like, oh, I usually am just parallel playing, but this is actual, like this, she just lists, everything's there. Nothing has to be pulled. Yeah. Like it was just, it's amazing. And to be able to meet with her again, like we've met at these very pivotal moments in our lives for Drive. You know, we were just kind of like new on the scene, you know, in LA, like things just starting out wide-eyed. And then years later, meeting on Llewyn Davis, she had just met Marcus. You know, I had just met Elvira. And then from that point on, then now meeting again, I've got 2 little kids. She's got 3 kids. Wow. We've been married for a long time, you know, and just to have that history and to be able to play with that in this way, it's great. I'm really excited about it.
Do you think you could ever play a couple that gets along?
No.
What's the fun in that, right?
What's the fun in getting along?
Yeah, I absolutely understand. Anything else that we should know about coming up that you can reveal?
No. No other revelations, no. That's all I got.
I'm really excited about King Hamlet. This sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure you saw the Al Pacino Looking for Richard documentary.
Of course. Yeah.
Which is just like, I'm not meaning to compare it because I haven't seen it, but like
this is her style, which is very fly on the wall.
Yeah.
You know, it's a special thing.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here, for
Thanks,
talking
guys.
to your fellow actors.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for being a great audience.
Thank you.